We are live here in San Francisco with my dear friend Q. Hello.
Hi, Eli. How are you?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, everyone.
Let's just dig right in. And we've known each other for a long time.
Yes.
Worked together for, wow, how many years ago?
I think over 10 years now.
Over 10 years. Salesforce and a bunch of companies, Benefits and Financial Force. And you know what? I think let's let everyone hear your story. How did you become this amazing rock star enablement professional in the world? How did this happen?
Well, that's very nice of you, Eli. Thank you. So, hi, everyone. My name is Q. Very similar to the James Bond reference. I like to be called Q just because in James Bond, Q was the enabler, and I like to say that I like to enable organizations to be very successful. My career was actually a little bit different, Eli. What's very interesting is I started Salesforce and I was in consulting, so consulting services. And then I transitioned into IT program management as I got into business school at Santa Clara. Go Broncos. And it was really interesting where I think in IT, loved the people, but I realized I missed working with customers. And so one of my mentors, Josh, hi Josh, out there had suggested a career in enablement. And I was on the sales engineering enablement team, who was kind of underneath the umbrella of overall enablement at Salesforce, so with your leadership there.
Thank you.
And was in many different enablement roles with our marketing cloud organization, then last but not least, the Ignite organization. Loved it and realized enablement was essentially the path that I wanted to go into. The reason for enablement is I like to help people, I like to support them, mentor them, coach them, and give them the tools and resources that they need to be really successful.
That's pretty cool. So consulting to IT, and then to technical enablement.
Yes.
Right. So notice, I love the steps there. And didn't you do an MBA somewhere in there as well?
I did. So I got into business school, which is the reason why I could no longer stay in consulting. I needed to have more of a stable in terms of career. In terms of location. And so went to Santa Clara for my MBA. Awesome. It was a 3-year part-time program. It was absolutely amazing. Lots of commuting back and forth from San Francisco and Santa Clara. I met amazing people, and it was just another kind of milestone that I was able to.
Well, how did the MBA help you accelerate your career?
I think with getting my MBA, it really helped me figure out what I liked doing, what I didn't like doing. Part of the MBA program is a leading people and organizations proponent to the program. And I was also president and vice president of our student body during that time as well. And I recognized that running events, helping people be really successful, as well as providing an avenue to have a community was really important to me.
That's great. And so enablement, sales enablement was kind of the way it started. Benefits was sales enablement.
Yes.
Financial Force is field enablement.
Yes.
But it's growing in a whole new way. So tell us, how does sales enablement become kind of company enablement in your mind?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is sales enablement for me is not just training. And I think that's a difference when I talk about what I do and why is it that I do the things that I do. I think of it as learning and development, but also so much more. It's providing the programs, the tools, as well as the resources available for anyone to be successful. And I think it goes just beyond sales. It's about the account team members that help sales. It also connects into the rest of the company, where I kind of tie myself to this concept of one team, one dream, or teamwork makes the dream work. And I think in order to have any company be really successful is to have a true development and enablement plan for everyone to be very successful. What is the learning? What are the tools? And what are the resources to get to where you want to be next?
Everyone. Not just salespeople.
Not just salespeople.
Everybody should be enabled. Why do you think salespeople and sales enablement is almost ahead of kind of traditional learning and HR in some degrees? I don't know. I don't want to offend anyone in the HR world, but why do you think?
I think as a salesperson, a lot of the salespeople that I've met, and in my past experience, I was also a salesperson, it's that hunger to be the best. It's the competitive spirit. It's trying to figure out, what do I need that's not in my toolkit, and what can I do to better myself to essentially make more money?
Right. And so they they aggressively want to be better.
They aggressively want to be better.
In a good way.
In a very good way.
In a good way.
In a very, very good way.
We love our salespeople.
Exactly.
And so what are some of the top things you're working on right now at Financial Force with regards to kind of company-wide learning?
Yes. So one of the first things, I've been at Financial Force for over a year now, and what's been very interesting is my team and I have really set the foundation for not only our field teams, which is all of our go-to-market teams, all the way from our SDR, BDRs to customer success, technical consultants, etc. This has now been expanded to the rest of the company in the sense where we are utilizing your amazing tool, SalesHood, and we have rebranded this to Financial Force Learning. And with Financial Force Learning,
so we're not actually going to call it SalesHood anymore.
We're not calling it SalesHood anymore.
A little powered by, but you're calling it Financial Force Learning.
Yes,
it's important.
It's very important because this, for me, creating a community and creating oneness as an organization is really important to me. And when we rebrand it to Financial Force Learning, for anyone in the company, it feels as if this is a platform for me. And it ties into a lot of the vision of what our CEO kind of has envisioned for the company. Is how do we provide one kind of platform to give everyone the resources that they need in order to be successful.
No, that's great. So thanks for sharing all that. It's been amazing to watch your growth over the years. It really has. I remember many of the steps, and they're amazing. And recently, I was looking on Twitter and I saw a post, "Cheers from Q."
Yes.
And I was like, "Wow, what's Cheers from Q?" And I started reading it, and I realized you're using. Well, tell us about what's Cheers from Q.
Yeah, so Cheers from Q is my new blog. What has inspired me and has been essentially a passion project of mine that I had first launched in the beginning of this year is all about topics tied to being vulnerable, community, as well as being self-aware. I think a lot of the folks out there who I've mentored or helped mentor me, we just are trying to find an avenue to make ourselves better as leaders, as team members, as family members, and it's really important for me to use some sort of venue or avenue to kind of share.
Well, it's a platform. You're using your blog as a platform to share some messages.
Yes.
It feels like it's kind of the next generation of your enablement journey.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Now, tell me more about that.
What's really interesting is, and I've spoken to you about this, is how do we enable the enablers?
Right.
And I think of this as one avenue to enable the enablers, and as well as anyone who really wants to better themselves, is what are the tips and tricks that I need to do to be better, role play, and really take a look at what matters most to me, as well as the people that I surround myself with, and who's there to help me in my vision across the board.
So it's Cheers from Q. Who are you writing it for?
Besides
yourself, because you want to share and you've got so much to give, but like who should really be following you on Twitter, and who should be reading Cheers from Q?
I think those who should be reading Cheers from Q are people who genuinely care about the people around them, creating a community, and are wanting to find out tips on how they can be more self-aware as an individual.
Yeah. So vulnerability, that was one of the first words that I noticed when I read that. It really jumped out at me. I'm like, wow, here's someone writing about something that's near and dear to the heart, using the word vulnerability. I think it's a hard word to use in life, because who wants to show that they're vulnerable? Who wants to show some of their insecurities? So tell me about vulnerability. Why is that one of the central tenets of Cheers from Q in terms of kind of talking about things?
I think, especially in this day and age, with social media, everybody has this kind of perfect picture of their perfect life, the perfect family, the perfect career. And I think we need to be honest with each other about, it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to not have everything go your way. But it's really important that you're being supported, as well as that somebody else might be feeling the same way that you do. And if we become a virtual community of people sharing their feedback, their advice, their experience, it makes you not feel as alone as some people may feel.
Right. I read recently, your last blog that you wrote was on gold stars.
Yes.
And so tell me about gold stars. How does gold stars feed into the vision of Cheers from Q and being vulnerable? That's kind of, because it was a cool topic for you to pick up and talk about it.
Yeah, it's really
I love it.
interesting. So the first theme of Cheers from Q is all about community. The first post is an exercise that anyone can do called Start, Stop, and Continue, which are, 3 things. What would you like to start doing, what you would like to stop doing, and what you would like to continue doing.
Right.
Then it kind of was a forcing function to how do you keep people really engaged within your organization. And then the last one, which is the gold stars, is how do you, once you've built a team, how do you keep them happy? What are things that you as a leader or even as a peer ask your team members on what they love doing, what they don't love doing, and then how do you tie, quote unquote, what I'm calling gold stars, very similar to when we were all in kindergarten. We've always wanted the gold stars. We wanted to feel valued. We wanted to get that feedback that, yes, we are doing something and we're doing something well.
Yeah.
And so that was just a big piece to it. And my next post, it's all about community and the mentorship. And imagine if you had a mentor a lot younger, not only in your career, but in potentially elementary school, how much of a different type of lifestyle you'll have.
Well, tell me more about that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to visualize that. What does that mean?
So imagine a world where if you were in 1st or 2nd grade, you had a buddy that was a little bit older than you were. And he or she would kind of guide you along your journey in elementary school. And then as you grew into primary school, middle school, or high school, you'll always have someone who's a little bit older giving you advice. We do this today as adults where once you get into the corporate world or just into a standard job, you then find your own mentors.
Yeah.
Imagine having those mentors a lot earlier in your career. It's quite interesting. One of my mentees, Dina, I had shown her this kind of specific example, and she said, wow, if only I had a Q when I was 5, how different my world would be. And that was just something
It's a
that
very forward-thinking idea. Mentorship for our children.
Yes.
Mentorship, I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I think they'd be very open to the idea of a mentor.
Yeah, because I think if you have a mentor when you're a lot younger, the ability to be a lot more vulnerable, give feedback, provide feedback, I think it could make the world a better place.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. What other topics are you going to write about? Have you thought about more?
Yes, I do. So after the theme of community, it's going to be the theme of self-care.
Ooh.
So it's really important that us as leaders, as team members, really show the importance of self-care, when you should take a break, when you should start outlining your own self-habits of, we read a lot of articles of not checking on email the first moment that you wake up because it creates anxiety. So what I've been doing is I start journaling, I then meditate, and it helps me recognize the calmness in the day that I kind of set my intentions to.
Yeah.
And so the next month is all about self-care.
Got it. And so how do you personally manage all this, right? You've got your professional life, there's the social life, and then there's your friends, and I see you're always out there with your friends.
Yeah.
And how do you leave time for Q?
I think that's
How do you make time for
great
Q?
question. And it ties into my second theme of self-care. I do not do an amazing job of self-care. I think what I've recognized is I'm very much fulfilled by the social connection that I have with my friends, my peers, work. I joke all of the time about one team, one dream, and that applies to my personal life as well. Is I'm all about community, family. But I recognized in the last couple of years that if I don't have enough Q time with and my time for myself, I can't recognize what it is that I want in my life in terms of long-term goals, my vision, taking a step back to think about what does Q want to be when she grows up, unless I set aside that self-care.
Yeah. I think it's fabulous. You're taking the fundamental principles of enablement, enabling our teams, enabling our people that we work with, and you're now sharing it broadly, and you're thinking of it across a whole bunch of dimensions of life. I didn't even pick up the mentorship for children, and now self-care. It's beautiful. Thank you for doing this.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
It's truly remarkable. Anything else you want to share?
No, I think I'm just grateful for the platform, not only with utilizing SalesHood in our professional lives, but I see SalesHood as the opportunity for this to be a platform to enable professional and personal lives as well. And so I just wanted to thank you for
you're
this
so
opportunity.
Welcome. Much love, and it's great having you. Give you a hug.
Yes, of course.
Oh.
And thanks everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. Cheers from Q.